on business. Yo, we on business. Yo, we out here hitting that grind.
Everybody, welcome to Beyond Business. Joining me today is a lifelong friend of mine who he's an entrepreneur. He's got a couple well-established business. He's a pillar in the community at this point. He's a great guy, a great dad, really dedicated to the community. Now you'll hear more. This is my man, Taylor Deetz. Welcome, brother.
Hi, Nick. Thanks for having me, man.
It's a pleasure.
Good to be here.
For sure. I'm glad you came.
Yeah.
So let's just dive into, you have two companies that you own, maybe some properties that you own. You started as a landscaper.
Indeed.
For yourself. So tell us a little bit about that. How you got into it, what it is, where it's at. We got to assume that not everyone knows you as the celebrity that I know you as.
Yeah. So I started landscaping in high school, just as a side gig. Enjoyed it, liked working hard, was an athlete in high school. So just accustomed to being outside and being physical, and enjoyed it. Never thought about it as a career. Didn't dawn on me until later. Went to Milliken for about a year and a half, and I was a computer science major. And I remember sitting there thinking one day, do I want to sit behind a computer the rest of my life? And I did not. And I was still landscaping at that time, and it just dawned on me. It's like, I love doing this thing. What do I love doing? And I love doing it. And it just hadn't dawned on me. I had an epiphany one day and decided to start planning on, starting my own business one day and what it was going to take to get there. I believe heavily in education, and I still educate myself. I've never stopped. But that piece of paper wasn't going to take me where I wanted to go as an entrepreneur. I needed to learn business. I needed to learn horticulture, finance, other things that I felt like Milliken wasn't going to offer me, and they sure didn't have a horticulture program. So, my mom was upset for a while about this, but I went to school tuition free. They had a tuition exchange program at that time. So between education scholarship and the scholarship I had from my mom being employed at Milliken, I went for free. And one day I just told her that I'm dropping out to go to Richland to the Hort program that I'm going to pay for versus the free education I was getting at Milliken. So you can imagine how that conversation went.
That's like throwing away money in her eyes.
Yeah,
it is in everyone's eyes.
Throwing away a lot of money now. So no, I had put together a vision, and I felt like I knew the path that I needed to go down, and I headed down that path and continued working for a couple local companies and learning how to be a good landscaper, and in the background learning how to be a businessman.
Oh, you worked for other companies landscaping?
I did. So when I was in high school, I worked for a guy named Magic Landscaping, and he taught me about plants and softscape and gardening and that aspect of landscaping. Then I went to work for a guy named Bob Leedy, who's been a mentor and a lifelong friend of mine that taught me how to hardscape, how to build walls and patios, and how to landscape at a high level. And he came from a coaching tree in Decatur that's well known from Zindell's and Jordan's Nursery. Were the two big players in town in the 70s and 80s. And that coaching tree expanded out, and most of the companies, my peers and competitors, came from that same coaching tree. Like, we all branched out from the same two large companies. And so I'm third generation of that.
And how old were you when you quit school? Was it to actually start your company?
No, I was not ready yet.
Just to dive in a little bit more and learn and go to Richland and
correct.
So just so we're clear, there's a difference. Although they have a crew of people who will take care of your yard, he don't mean he decided to buy some lawnmowers. He learned about the plants and the walls, and that's impressive.
And so yeah, I just learned how to be a good landscaper first, and eventually I wanted to start my own company. I didn't know what that meant until I got a little older, and as I got closer to that time, I started my own company, and I was 22, and that was in the year 2000.
And can you even count the number of times that you said, "What the fuck am I doing?" and why can't I just go get a check?
I'm still asking myself, what the fuck am I doing?
No, that's great. That's part of it, right?
You know, I knew I wanted to start my own company. I did not have capital. I don't come from wealth. No one handed me a check or um, financed me in any way. When I wanted to go start my own company, I had hustled up about $50,000 worth of contracts, had them in hand, and most of them were groundskeeping, mowing type, seasonal type contracts, couple landscaping. Took that to a local bank, and they showed me the door pretty quickly. And so I learned some things pretty quickly, and ultimately what I did is I went out to try to get the best job I could without a college education. At that time, I thought it was ADM. And I went out there for a year and a half to be an operator, worked California swing shift, which was 7 on, 1 off, 7 on, 2 off, 7 on, 3 off, with going first, second, third shift. So wild shifts. And then I would get off of work and I'd go landscape for another 6 or 8 hours. So I did that for a year and a half until it got to the point where I was grinding out 110-hour weeks, week after week after week. And I had to decide. It was time.
And you were doing all that just to build your nest egg to get off the ground.
Yeah. I moved back home. I'd been out on my own probably since I was 17. So at 21 or 2, years later, I moved back home to my mom's basement while I was, into stacked money, bought my mowers, got down payment for my first house, my first truck. And once I had that nest egg put together and made those moves, I walked from ADM and was off and running.
When were you demanded so much in the office that you no longer were, sweated it out in the sun, but instead you put people to work? And how many people do you employ right now on the landscaping?
At peak season right now, we're running about 25 on the landscaping, somewhere around there. We pare down, and we have some college kids that come in. We probably pare down to 19 or 20 or 18, 19 or something. I don't track that number real closely, but I have some good staff, and we're managing quite a bit of people. Yeah, I should have answered the first question.
No,
first,
you're good.
So that's a really good question, because my career and job continues to evolve, and my position within my company continues to evolve. So for the first several years, I was just a landscaper, still absorbing all the information I could, how to get really good. My goal was to master landscaping and be the best landscaper, in Decatur. That was I told myself I was, and until I thought I became it. And
are you?
I've mastered most of my trade. I mean, I'm still learning.
Yeah.
I have my weaknesses and strengths, but yeah, I consider myself an expert in my field.
Yeah, and I think with almost anything, the second that you actually convince yourself that you know it all, you just go on and check your code at the door, brother, because there's always stuff to learn. You'll never stop,
Well, I always try to think it into existence. So my first business card said CEO on it. I was a one-man band, but I knew where I was going, where I wanted to be. So I called myself CEO of my company since the day I opened the doors when I was 22 years old.
You weren't lying.
I mean, people kind of snickered at me early on, but they don't snicker now.
It's something, right?
So, yeah.
But I think that's what I notice about you, too, is that you've always been kind of humble, and I think that's a feather in your cap. And 20 people having a good job is very impressive. Like, that's to the community, dude. I mean, that's
I take
huge.
the most pride in that we've developed some careers in my company, and it's been a team effort. It's not a me thing. I have an amazing team that I've put together that's been with me for a long time. So I realized that early on as well.
Which I've learned late, and yeah, you're right. You're as good as your team. I've been stuck for years on that. If it doesn't seem right, I'll cut you off so quick because I can do it myself. But then it goes.
Well, you're putting a ceiling that you can't break through.
That's right.
On your own.
Yeah.
You can be successful that way, but you've capped yourself.
Yeah, I can't go on vacation for a month.
Yeah.
Or I don't make any money. So I'm trying to learn too, man.
So that evolution of career has been interesting. Ultimately, I was landscaping in the field, mowing part of the week, landscaping part of the week, doing bids at night, and eventually it just becomes too much.
Yeah.
I think the last job that I did in the field full time was in 2012. So it took about 12 years before I was I'm not in the field anymore.
Well, then it's definitely safe to say that anything that you're asking someone to do that works for you, you've done it.
Sure.
It's
important.
Oh yeah.
You know, and I still kind of feel that way now. I wish I could go. I love working in the field. I've always loved building things. I wish I could be out there. My mind says yes, my body says no.
Yeah.
And it just doesn't, I have to trust my people and guide them, and they do a great job, and I have great people. So, but I do miss it.
Yeah. I feel the same way. There's definitely times where you go, man, I kind of like sweating my ass off for a little while,
but everything gets old.
No doubt.
Variety.
Yeah.
So I had to learn how to be a businessman. That was kind of what I was getting at. Was I became a really great landscaper, but I knew that if I wanted to have the company, the size and structure of company that I wanted, I needed to learn how to be a good businessman. Not a good one, a great one.
How did you figure that out? Because that's one of the most difficult parts of being an entrepreneur is going, hey, I got a little money.
Mm-hmm.
How many times am I going to have money and not before I have money? So that's huge. I'm interested in that. What made you, trial and error, hiring people and going, well, I don't know what you're worth. Here's what I think.
Sure.
What do you think?
Well, failure's the biggest part of that.
Right.
I've had some success and hope to have more, but my life's been more about failure and my response to failure than it has been successes. So I fail more, I feel like, every day than I succeed. Or at least it's easier to focus on the failures. I've had to learn how to celebrate my successes, really. So the education piece was the most important part to becoming a good businessman. I read every book I could get my hands on, but that only takes you so far. I used a lot of different resources. Back then, SCORE with Milliken had a really good program, so I spent time there, and they were awesome. I took classes and workshops. I think one of the things, probably the smartest thing that I did at that time, was to reach out to people that I admired and thought that had success in other fields, and just take them to lunch. Say, how do you do it? How'd you do it? How'd you get there? What's your story? Tell me what book I need to read. What do I do? And I did that and created a network around myself of people that I could reach out to and ask questions to and lean on.
And people are receptive.
It's actually amazing how entrepreneurs are it's like a club, and nobody gets there on their own. They all needed help, and that's what I realized early on by me reaching out to them. They taught me that they needed help, and they couldn't wait to give it back, and they realized the importance of giving back. And that's what I have found in almost every entrepreneur that I know, is that their willingness to help others be successful. That's important to me to do the same, and I want to do more, and I need to do more.
Well, I've seen recently you hosted. There's a CEO group of kids, maybe. I've checked them out on a few little things. And what is that? Are they high school kids or college? What was that?
So it's a high school program. It's a Mount Zion CEO program. I'm glad you brought that up.
And that's what it's called, the Mountain Zion CEO. All right, shout out to Mountain Zion CEO program. That's great.
Yeah, Blake Reynolds is helping facilitate that with a lot of other entrepreneurs. They're doing a really wonderful job, and they're training and teaching their next generation of entrepreneurial leaders, and it's a really awesome program. There had been a void there for many years as everybody focused on college education.
Yeah.
But when I was in high school, we had a program called the Business Marketing and Management Program, and I took that class my senior year. So I could have graduated at the end of my junior year. I elected not to. I was having too much fun.
Yeah,
I
high
was
school was all
partying,
right,
having a
man.
blast. I was an athlete. Like I loved high school. I didn't want to leave.
Yeah.
And so I took this class, and I got out of school every day at 11, 18. You know, I learned about business for most of the day and went and worked, and that was really good. That was a catalyst to me, you know,
Right.
facilitating entrepreneurship. But that program it's a national program. So
Oh, it's not
yeah,
just at Mount Zion.
no.
So why aren't our other local schools jumping on board? That's
They're
a
well,
no-brainer.
so it's regional. So I believe that the closest other school, Warrensburg, has kids that are in a program, but it's part of Bloomington might be part of that. So
Oh, so Mount
it's
Zion, it isn't just for
just
Mount Zion
Well,
students, but
I believe that it was just Mount Zion students, but they opened it up to St. Teresa this year.
okay.
So you know, I don't want to misspeak, but I believe it's just Mount Zion and St. Teresa kids, and they could only take so many. Um, there was, I think, 35 or 38. Somebody told me that they that kids from St. Teresa applied, but they only took a small number.
Okay.
And my son Colton was fortunate enough to have been selected in that group. My kids have been around entrepreneurship. Colton's mom's an entrepreneur. They've grown up and raised around it. So my family has a pretty strong. My boys
Yeah.
and my daughter they're pretty entrepreneurial.
It's
And it's
crazy.
really,
It rubs off
yeah,
for sure.
it does.
Yeah.
It's great to see. I don't push them in that way. I support them in what they want, but they've naturally gravitated with an entrepreneurial spirit.
So my son's old enough now to where at least we can have adult-ish conversations. Like, what are you thinking? Yeah, what would you want to do? And it's funny because he has the exact comparison of a college graduate with a business degree
Mm-hmm.
versus I think I got like 212 college hours. I don't have a degree in anything. I got a couple trade certifications. I've failed several times.
My story is exactly the same. Like,
And I go,
yeah,
but I think he looks at it and goes, like, there's not, you decide what you make. And I'm like, that's a okay way to put it. Yeah, I do.
sure. I
Yeah.
mean, I have a view.
And he's going, well, then why would anyone go, I'm going to sign up for $62,000 a year, or I don't even know, 70, whatever it is, whatever. Why would anyone sign up for that if you legitimately could make whatever you want? It's like, that's what the fuck I'm talking about.
You're right.
Keep
I
that
mean,
attitude,
If you're willing to outwork everybody around you, then make your own dreams come true instead of making somebody else's.
Yeah.
But I view entrepreneurs as a personality type.
It is.
And you usually know, and if you research entrepreneurship, I knew at a young age, and there's a lot of research that most entrepreneurs know at an early age that they're marching to a little bit different beat, plus or minus. I'm not going to say whether or not one path is better than the other, because many people have been very successful getting degrees and master's degrees and going to work
no
for
doubt.
big companies and being VPs and just having amazing careers.
Yeah.
So, there's just a lot of different ways in life to be successful, but they all have the same ingredients. You have to work hard and grind, at what you have to have vision.
And I think that's the benefit of growing up around entrepreneurs is there's been no blinders on your children to make them think that they're entitled to, or it's easy, or it doesn't take work. It's like, I think there's an appreciation for going, oh, I'm young enough to have a plan, to where I can bust my ass. You did it though at a young age.
Mm-hmm.
You jumped. So I think there's such a benefit to not pissing away your years working while you're. And some people, you run into a family and you got a 9 to 5, and the wife won't let you, or your husband or whatever won't let you just throw it all in. It's
There's always going to be naysayers.
Yeah.
And I had them. There's plenty. You'll never make it. I heard that plenty, to my face and behind my back.
Yeah.
Either that fuels you or you succumb to it. I remember thinking if I'm gonna fuck my life up, let's do it at 22, not at 32.
Right.
You know, I can always go back to ADM
Yeah.
and make good money and
Yeah.
have a good career and be happy there. Like I like that job, and I have friends out there that like their job. You know, it's not a death sentence to
Yeah.
not be an entrepreneur. It is not for everybody.
Is that a choice?
It should be a choice. We
I mean, 'cause
damaged our education system, I think, by yanking the vocation programs out of our high schools, and for 10 years or more or less, I'm not versed, but we all know that the tides changed and everybody shifted toward going through college and getting a degree, and now it's expensive and you're saddled with debt, and there's cons to that. And we gave everybody one option and focused on one option when there's many options, and now the trades are hurting. We don't have people, and which is actually is great now. Landscaping for a tradesman, because landscaping was like the redheaded stepchild of the trades forever. It's considered the federal government designated a skilled trade now, so now we can have apprenticeships, and we can have federal money, and so it's different. But now that the demand for trades are so high that the pay scale's getting good and better and better and better. My guys are making good money. I'm making better money.
Right.
There's more opportunity. There's legit apprenticeship programs for all the trades, of which I always have been, but for landscaping as well. And you can come in and make six figures in a few years in a lot of these jobs without being saddled with the debt of a four-year college. You know, I've always paid my staff as much as I possibly can, and to get to where I've been, I've paid staff. My staff have made more money than me at times, especially early on. It might not be the case so much now that I have a base salary, but my top officers, our salaries are similar. Now I have some net worth because I own properties and I own a business, and
So
and I have
properties that you own, is that Taylor Made Landscaping's properties, or is that Taylor's properties? Or is
so
that a
I
whole
own an
different company?
LLC called Taylor Made Land Holdings LLC,
Okay.
and that's
Different business.
different business. And I started that company. I'm not even sure what year. I bought a couple of hood houses for like 5 or 6 or 7 grand, 15 years ago, and just to try to keep my guys busy in the off season.
That's
started
what I was
there,
going for.
make a little money,
Keep them working.
Keep them working was the first, driving factor. And I knew from before we came on, we talked a little bit about Rich Dad Poor Dad.
Mm-hmm.
I'd read some books and knew that I needed to diversify my portfolio as time went on.
Yeah.
And real estate is an excellent space for that, and was for me, because as a landscaper, I know how to do a lot of different things. I spent time working for other construction companies, and just understood how to rehab a house. And so ultimately I ended up with, I lived poor for a long time, just kept pouring money back in. I was driving junker cars, junker trucks, living under my means, instead of going out and buying a nice truck and a nice home and taking nice vacations. I just kept pumping it back in for the longest, and until I built up some. So I ended up with, after about a 5-year period, I ended up with 4 or 5 rental houses that were started.
You still have them?
I just sold a block of 4 of them, and so it started buying some commercial property and kind of changing my grind a little bit.
Same plan, just bigger.
Just bigger, different.
Yeah.
I didn't really want to be a landlord and chase that money anymore. Those houses were great to me. I mean, I made decent money year in and year out, no complaints. It's just it can be a hard road.
Yeah.
So I decided that I wanted to try to upgrade into a little bit different type of real estate holdings, and I had my eye on commercial, and that ultimately kind of what guided me into buying family home and patio recently. So.
Oh yeah, so that's a good transition. Well, first is which your girlfriend Jill, shout out Jill Williams, Main Place Real Estate. She's the bomb. What did you did you meet her through your like dealings with real estate, or you just separately, and now you have a chick that is your, I don't know, is she your fiance or?
Uh,
Hey, that was on purpose. Just so
hey, you're
you
putting
know,
me on the
Jill.
spot.
Yeah,
I think a lot of people put me on the spot.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think the last time I was around you,
yeah.
you got kind of put on the spot too.
Yeah,
so.
we're Jill's awesome. I'm not worthy, for sure.
That is not an answer.
I'm not going to ask her to marry me on the podcast if that's what you
okay,
mean.
well,
But
sorry.
yeah, we're we're already there without being there.
I feel that. No. You
Like I'm really proud of her. She's awesome. The support that I get from her and for each other, and we've had some entrepreneurial dealings together.
That's amazing.
Yeah, you asked how we met. The first time I met her, I was selling the block of houses that I was mentioning, preparing to make some other moves, and she had just started at Main Place, and she was running the Matador camera and doing drone footage for them and learning the ropes. And,
Yeah.
And I think she was doing that while she was learning how to getting her real estate license. So so yeah, we met that way, and her and Taylor Peterson are best pals.
Okay.
And Taylor tried to set us up, and
Yeah.
and neither one of us were in it's coming out of a relationship, and she wasn't didn't want to be in one, so we just attempted to not come together on
Right.
purpose for a while until we did, and it's been awesome. She's great. I'm so lucky.
That's it.
Yeah, I'm very, very lucky, very fortunate.
You deserve it, brother.
She's a rock star.
And you are, yeah, you're an awesome dude. You guys seem like, that's what I'm saying. Not very often you see people and go, hey, good fit.
Yeah, you learn and you mature, and you figure out, who you want to be with, and try to learn how to be happy, and not force things. And so yeah.
Okay, so we fast forward. You got your properties. You're still in the property game,
Yeah.
And I mean, within the last year or so, how do you go about finding, purchasing family home and patio?
So it was kind of a slow process. My landscaping company was expanding, and I wanted to buy
Physically?
We needed more property. We'd outgrown our space, and I tried to buy some larger commercial properties. The pricing was just insane, but I found this house for 140 grand that had some little bit of an acre to it as a residential, had a building on it. I separated them, moved the landscape division over to the backside of that property and that building, and so was able, instead
Where
of
you're at now?
Yeah, where I'm at now.
You have a house, that's your house that sits?
The yellow house off of 121.
You also have that?
Yeah, that's one of. Yeah, I turned that into a rental property to pay for the property as a whole. So
Yeah.
Sustainability.
Got you.
Right,
Yeah.
you
I
know.
didn't realize how that.
Yeah. And that property behind it.
But family home and patio's up the road a little bit.
Well, they're in between my two properties at this point.
Oh.
So
yeah.
I'm, in my mind, I'm dreaming one day I would love to own that piece of property. Like, I don't know how I can afford it, but I had my eyes on it and always wanted it and thought it was a natural progression, and then found out it was available. So John and Mary Ann Wilkins are just some of the nicest people you'll ever meet. They've been amazing. They've been great neighbors. We're friends.
They're the previous owners?
The previous owners, and they own family home and patio since, I believe, 1985. So it's been around a long time. Their focus was more diverse than what I'm doing with it. But when I came to buy it, I really just wanted the property. I'll roll it back a little bit. I found out that Mary Ann and her employee, they were ready to retire and wanted to sell the property. The business wasn't really even on the table at first. And so once I realized I could buy the property, how do I pay for it now?
Wish granted.
Yeah.
Oh, wait.
This is a lot of property, and it's an expensive piece of property,
Yeah.
and I can't sustain that right now, so I had to figure it out. Well, I could rent it, but then I was just kind of examining the situation and really started looking at the the pool industry closer, and I had an awareness of it. I work adjacent to it. I've been landscaping around pools all of my career, doing outdoor living spaces, and
Yeah.
I've watched these pools go in. I've even helped a couple of times, and John had subcontracted to me a couple of times, and so I had a really good awareness. And
Oh yeah, you're the
yeah,
one who takes people who spend the money to
yeah,
get these pools in to make it actually look
sure,
how they expected,
put
rather
in,
than
yeah,
just a hole in the ground with some water.
absolutely, yeah. We
Yes,
come in,
you've
we
been
put in
there.
sod and
You've been
plants and
there
pergolas and all the bells and whistles that go
already.
around the thing. Yeah. So, and to be honest, the last few years has really been kind of wild. But our industries have actively been combining. So at our trade shows and classes, there's combined classrooms. They've been trying to combine. They overlap so closely and so well that they overlap.
Yeah.
So yeah, I went down that path and examined the market, and I just felt like there was a strong need for a quality installer. There's room for
And
another quality installer in town. That served that the needs weren't getting met. We had out of town contractors coming in and building pools all over our town. Something I have a bugaboo about.
if you buy from out of town just to save a couple bucks, the first time something goes wrong, you're going to realize your mistake.
Yes,
I mean, that's just how it
indeed.
is.
It is how it is. And to add to that, we're underserved in the service area, even more than normal in the pool side. Those guys are aging out. We have vendors coming from out of town to open and close pools, which is ridiculous.
Yeah.
And it was just, we do not have a hot tub. We did not have a hot tub store. We do now. There was nobody in town selling hot tubs or servicing them, even though John and Mary Ann that was a division of theirs at one point for a long time, but it just looked wide open. I was like, I seen the opportunity.
Is there another place around where you can walk in and see the hot tub
Not
without
in
looking at
Decatur.
it online? I mean, you're going and seeing it?
My main competitors, there's one in Springfield and one in Bloomington, and that's where most of the people in Decatur were buying their hot tubs and failing to get service,
Yeah, that's
after
rough.
the fact. So, and so I just went for it. We started talking about what's it going to cost to buy the business too, and we went down that road,
It worked out.
and we made it happen. And it's
I'm sure they're thrilled to have someone as dedicated and capable as you to step in and keep. I mean, because you didn't change the name.
no,
Will you?
no, I felt it. I'm a lot of respect for John and Mary Ann and what they created, and I think it carries weight to carry that torch on.
Yeah.
To continue it, and our visions aligned, our thoughts about workmanship and quality and transparency and honesty and all those things aligned. And so they were looking at closing the business and until we started discussing it, they were comfortable with it was just going to end.
It was just done.
They didn't have kids; it was done. So it's been really rewarding, really, for both of us.
How awesome is it to have your son, Kane, which I've always called him my nephew. And I think I just realized he wasn't. Like, wait, that's not my sister's kid.
It's your cousin's kid, but you have
It's my nephew,
yeah,
man.
essentially, yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's it. Because he was a kid, a hard-headed kid like all of us. And Kane to come up to me and go, oh, I just love, we were talking about
Water chemistry.
Yeah, water chemistry. There you go.
He's
And
found
I'm
a
like,
path
that's
that
what
he's
I'm talking
passionate about.
Yeah.
And
That's
so
great.
I love the opportunity to work with my son. It's not the easiest thing.
No.
And I'm not I can be,
His
demanding.
boss is a dick from what I hear.
Yeah. So I'm about my business at work. It's all business. And so I have to separate my friendships and business when we're at work.
Oh, yeah.
And compartmentalize that, flip that switch.
Yeah.
And so it's a little bit of a delicate balance to some degree. trying to let my son blossom and guide him and but at the same time, not show him favoritism, not let him cut corners.
Yeah.
He has to go through the path just like anybody else. He's growing into his role very well. He's becoming a good tradesman. He has. I'm pretty proud of him. Really, I probably should tell him more. But he's
No, that's great.
he's coming into his own. He's got a ways to go. Like, he can't fill my shoes yet, but I have hopes one day.
Yeah.
And he'll work his way there, and that
No
would be
doubt.
great.
He's got a good teacher.
Yeah. So we have a lot of good staff. He has a lot of good teachers. Yeah.
Good job.
I think my rules with my kids have always just been, you can't quit and you have to give it 100%. No matter what it is, I'm not going to make you go one way or the other. You just have to finish what you start and give it your all. And if you do that, I'm happy.
Yeah, you can't bitch about something not working out if we know you're not trying.
If you haven't given it your all, then it's not going to work out. And what we're talking about is people management.
That's it.
And it's hard. And I've educated myself on how to do it and still struggle with it. And you add the mix in family and trying to compartmentalize. Josh and Chris Parrish have been my division managers and peers in my company, have helped build TaylorMade, and my office manager Nan as well, and trying to retain friendship, while having to be having to work and be a boss and be demanding. I'm demanding on myself, so I'm demanding on my staff. I have high expectations, high goals, high energy, and that's not for everybody. I can wear you out, and learning how to compartmentalize and separate friendship and workship, and then you
throw family
in, and it's
so
not
I
easy.
lucked out from the beginning. When it was time for him to retire, the only thing that changed is I got 90% instead of 10. So it was almost like it was the best transition you could have ever done, is make me bust my ass for 10% of a company because I needed that. Well, now here it's like, oh shit. Oh, let me create some more stress with another company.
Yeah. No, you're preaching to the choir there.
Yeah.
Like, it's never enough.
Wait, things are going well?
Yeah,
I feel like I can fuck this up a little
Sure.
bit. Yeah, I need my mental health to deteriorate just slightly in order to keep me strong.
Second generation companies, generally, you've laid the foundation.
Yeah.
And if you have somebody that's smart and willing to take it to the next level with the work ethic and the education and entrepreneurial education, really business education, that the second generation companies hit it, hit it big. And I've laid a foundation for my kids, and
that's what I'm saying.
I mean, they could do really well taking the foundation that I have.
But it's almost
built.
like you'd have to intentionally fuck this up. Mm-hmm. However,
it can be done.
I think I just used this one yesterday. I went from handing out turkeys to needing a turkey.
It's funny you say that, because
I went from, I'll buy 30 turkeys, give them away, and then the next year I'm like, damn, anybody got a turkey? I need a turkey, man.
That feeling has never left me, though, what you're talking about. Like, I'm 25 years in. I know I have a good, stable company, strong company, but I feel like I'm one bad move away from the house of cards crumbling down.
Fucking right.
And that has never left that feeling.
But what's crazy is if the right opportunity come, you will throw one more card on top just to see if it'll stack up.
Oh, you
because bet. There's been so many things that you've said that I'm like, fuck, do I have a Wikipedia page of my emotions? And he read it before he came in. I swear, I'm like, oh, so it's not just me.
No,
we're a fucking mess. Fair enough.
Sure. Yeah, we before we came on air, we talked about mental health, and we spend all this time trying to make our companies the best that they can be. That I'm an avid gym guy, so I work hard to make my body be the best it can be. Why wouldn't you work on making your mind the best that it could be? And that's something I had to, took a long time and a lot to learn. And still learning how to keep my mental health in check. I mean, I think everybody's going through something, and the severity of it is relevant to themselves. You just have to be cognizant what's going on and take care of things and be aware.
Yeah. But it takes a special person. I mean, it takes a special kind of person to go.
Therapy for me has come in a lot of different forms.
Yeah.
Now, I built a sort of an advisory team around myself, whether it be I had a business advisor who was wonderful. Um, Shout out to Dennis Schwieger. He was just a catalyst in helping me learn how to be a businessman. He was a professor of business at Tabor School of Business at Milliken, and
Okay.
we became friends. And he took a shining to me, or took mercy on me, and was a great advisor. And that's a form of therapy, calling and talking out the business things. I had a computer guy that I'd call and talk to. I had mentors within landscaping, and just kind of surrounded. I had an attorney, obviously, an accountant. Every one of those people sort of was a therapist for a different cause.
Well, and so you're almost associating maybe like your different like worries or anxieties were in different fields to where you just were uneducated in. So as you would dig in and feed what you were seeking, it would be therapeutic. You know what I mean? Where you educated yourself off the need to know.
That's,
I mean,
yeah, I think it's probably pretty well put that the lack of knowledge, is a stress point for me, not knowing what to do. And I'm trying to take my companies to the next level, and I don't know how to do it. So I've been studying heavily advanced, business.
you say, let me talk to the
Strategies.
people who did take their
So,
business to the next
yeah,
level.
so,
And how did they
Yeah,
do it?
I didn't. I didn't know. I knew how to be a good landscaper once. I'm not a landscaper anymore. Then I knew how to be, a businessman, and then I learned how to be an entrepreneur, and then I got advanced at being a business person and got good at it, and now the next level is complicated and different as I go from a business to a professional business, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it does.
Professional meaning a corporation with a large corporate structure, with general managers, maybe VP, supervisors, project managers. That's where we're headed, and I've been actively training myself to figure out how to run a company on that scale, because I sure don't know how. I think I know how, but I really don't.
It's not like the ceiling is so high that you have to have a doctorate in something to be able to move to the next level. No, you just have to be hungry enough and smart enough to know if you need to hire people that are smarter than you.
Well, it's the who, not how.
That's it. Bam.
And I'm in the
Well
middle
said.
of that right now, and it's really interesting. And at this stage of my career, that I'm interviewing and attempting to hire my peers and my mentors, and it's a weird
That's
place
awesome.
to be in. And
No, it's awesome.
a guy that we had a 4.5 hour meeting Saturday. I won't throw his name out yet because he's not part of the fold yet, but this guy has a master's degree, and he has more experience than me. He's more knowledgeable in most areas than I am, not in business. Like I'm
Right.
a businessman. I'm
Right.
not a landscaper anymore.
Yeah.
I haven't been since 2012. But I'm looking at people that, I'm hiring in some heavy hitters, and it's really,
You're like, am I in the right chair?
I
Should we
never
switch?
thought I would be here.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Never thought I'd make it this far, but it's to me, I owe a debt of gratitude to the team, and being just smart enough to know that I'm only as good as the team that I build around me. And I build an amazing team, and we've taken this company. We're very proud of it. We have an excellent reputation. We stand behind our work. We make mistakes. We do regularly, but we own them, and we stand behind them and correct those mistakes, and have developed just a great reputation, and we're very proud of it. We've created a lot of careers. I have a lot of people that have been with me from anywhere from 5 years to almost 20 years. It's amazing now to have that, that level of people with me for that period of time. And
But that
we're
shows
doing something right.
Well, I mean, that shows you are doing something right, because believe me, everybody wants someone who works hard.
Sure.
So if you kept them for 5 to 20 years, that means you wanted them because they work hard. And that means they have had opportunities to go elsewhere because people know they fucking work hard.
Mhm.
So you're keeping the circle happy enough, and
Or just happy enough.
that's
you know,
enough. That's enough.
no,
Yeah.
you know,
Oh shit! You need gas money? Take the truck.
sure. Well,
No, I'm
it's a
just
good
fucking-
point, though. You know,
But-
it not being above the team.
I hate to say
You
it,
know.
but you being willing for years to show up in a car shittier than what they came in,
Yeah.
at least says something.
I've had guys that had, health benefits. I didn't have health insurance until I was.
You're going, hope I don't get hurt, bro.
I think I was 32 years old before I bought
Right.
my first health insurance policy.
They made me.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't afford it.
I know.
But my staff had it. But if you don't take care of the people that take care of you, you're fooling yourself. So
But that's huge. Do you realize that that's a big misconception, is that if I can stay wealthy as long as I act broke to my team, and if they're broke, and it's like, no.
oh, I was really broke.
You can be, you can be broke while they're not.
Right.
Going, I hope this Christmas party dinner clears on this card. It did? Yes. You're welcome. Merry Christmas.
I've always been pretty, somewhat frugal in my lifestyle and lived inside of my means. And my staff, I think they see that. They know that I'm not just taking more than my share and being stupid with money. They see me continually pouring money back in to make their job better equipment, continual growth,
Better team.
Better team,
Bigger team.
better. It's
Yeah.
just all the time, and that's been a driving force of what we do is
Yeah.
with TaylorMade is just keep on, keep trying to get better and.
If you run into someone at the DMV and they're giving them $2,000 for the stickers, then they got some vehicles.
It's more than that.
You're like, not even. I
disgusting.
wish.
Did we have that conversation a while
Yes,
back about
I
the
think-
absurd
Yeah, I
dollar
think I
amount
had
that
just-
we could go down the overtaxation rabbit hole. I don't want to, but it's
Oh,
at least
bro.
we're seeing some road work. Okay, the craftsmanship may not.
I was
be
going to
there.
say, we certainly. If
But
you
we're
need
seeing
road
road work.
closures, then
Yeah.
you're right.
We're seeing some road work. Business gets complicated, and you have to watch your money, and to that point, I feel like a big part of my job is to keep people from fucking me out of money, and it could either
And
be
collecting.
the government,
Yeah.
it could be an employee, it could be a vendor, it can be a client. Normally, it's the government, insurance companies. I want to throw that in there too. So you have to.
It's an octopus, bro. You just had an 8-headed monster.
You have to pay attention, and that's what being a good businessman is about. And I'm studying all of those things at all times and helping protect my company. Actually, was spending too much time on those things and realized
You
that
can't do anything
that-
about it. You just are
Yeah.
knowing how much you're getting fucked without being able to.
sometimes you can't. But I had to. Delegation is a big part of growth. And I need to spend more time on positive things that make me money and less times on things that don't. Sometimes it's better to focus on gross profit margin than squabble over the $168
Yeah.
sticker,
Yeah. There's no
Um,
fun in that.
No, there's not. But that's the dirty part of business is paying attention and learning what work comp means and how those systems work and how unemployment works and how to read those documents. And I've purchased. It's worth noting that my growth has come through organically and through acquisition. So I've purchased 3 landscape companies over the
Oh.
years, small ones, and have my eyes set on a large one I'm in
Wait.
negotiation with now.
So that is how it is. Eat up the little competition. You can grab them and keep their guys working, or you just go, no, bro. You bought lawnmowers, thought you were going to make a living, and you.
Every situation has been different, on why I purchased it, and how, and what the compensation package was. But every one of those have been productive, fortunately, and have been
It's a great
worth it.
idea.
So if we put ourselves in position for some accelerated growth, we'll go out and, buy some of that growth. You can calculate the cost of a lead
Yeah.
to generation of profit from start to finish, and that costs money.
Yeah.
And if you purchase those already built-in clients, it can be cheaper, but it's in the purchase price. We run a very sophisticated CRM program. And so that program, we plug in our budget, we plug our company-wide budget to this program, we plug in our divisional budgets, which is groundskeeping, landscaping, snow removal. We used to have a general construction, but we phased that out years ago. So we create these budgets, and then we're able to attach these budgets to our estimates. And by using our budgets, for that creation, we understand exactly what our overhead is, and we're recovering that and that percentage of overhead. So
Okay.
so now that we've created that estimate, once it's approved, gets turned into a job within the program, and then it gets dispatched to each crew. So on the groundskeeping side is much simpler. So we'll do a contract for a year. We have a flat rate contract. We know exactly how much it's going to cost, how many times we're going to mow your yard based on certain data points. We're a data company, and we analyze data heavily to make decisions. So we create this flat rate program, and then we schedule out our mows for the year, and they go into the schedule, and all of it. We've been paper free for a decade now, so we're ran on tablets.
Do you have an app?
We do have an app,
Yeah.
and that app, so the staff will get their job assignment, how much time they're allotted to do the job, so if they're over or under, there's actually there's a screen that shows those guys if they're above or below where they're supposed to be, which is important because their production bonus is based on
Keep you on task.
making
So there is a
money.
production bonus.
There is a production bonus.
Everybody does what they're, yeah.
And if you hit your numbers and you're efficient and you do a good job and you don't have a lot of callbacks and you're not, taking naps under the tree,
Yeah.
and those
Everybody
things,
needs a tree nap now and then.
Yeah, I mean, you get rewarded. We've tried to create a system where you get rewarded for hard work. So that goes into a
beautiful.
schedule. Those guys see what they're supposed to do, what time they have allotted, what that client wants done and needs done. It's all laid out for them. And
That's
it's pretty slick, and
You simplified.
Sure.
Yeah.
And it goes beyond that. We have a customer portal, so our customers can log in online to their portal, and they can see what job is scheduled. They can see the jobs that have already been done, who was there, what the field notes were, what they did. They can request services.
They can schedule to get something done
can
without
pay-
calling.
They can request
just,
an estimate. They can pay their bill. And so all that information is tracked and gathered and ultimately ends up in an invoice and gets sent out.
So what's the goal then for, I knew you were, I knew very well that you were a heavy hitter, and your landscaping, if I did want to forget about you, your presence is everywhere. You have enough vehicles and trailers that you guys work. Is there a goal?
We've just begun, to be honest.
Oh.
We're, I don't want to be braggadocious in any way, but it took me 20 years to get over a certain hump, which is $1 million in gross sales. That's kind of the gold standard point for most companies once you get past that.
Okay.
And it took me forever.
Right.
And for me to get to the size that I want, to be able to delegate and to back away from the day-to-day operations and create the type of income that I need to sustain me through the rest of my life, our next goal is to get to 3 million and then the 5 million in sales. So we have goals, and I have goals beyond that, but that's where our next evolution is to get to 3 and then to 5, and we think that's going to happen quite rapidly. We've spent the last few years preparing for that growth and creating the operational procedures, putting the CRM program is sophisticated in place to be able to track and monitor and keep quality standards up and to be able to function at that scale requires a lot of structure. Now we have something special going on, and it's truly is a collection of dedicated, hardworking people that are passionate about what that we do, and you know it's 100% a group effort.
Yeah.
And because I have that amazing structure and group around me, we can, you know, I'm blessed to be able to prepare and plan to go to the next level.
Yeah.
That foundation is there.
Good for you, bro.
You know, so we're really excited about what the future holds. Family home and patio, that addition has been amazing and has been a strategically part of that growth.
Right.
And
All right, we're going to take a piss break real quick. So I'm going
in the pocket.
Yeah. Getting into.
Yeah.
You're asking me to be on something that's going to happen.
To
and
be
it's like,
vulnerable on camera.
yeah.
Yeah.
But,
You know,
yeah.
it's good. I think it's important to,
Yeah.
you know, like I was looking forward to just being on camera and being myself and let people know who I am. You know, I don't consider myself a community leader yet. I want to be, and I'm heading that way.
No, you are.
You know,
You're
I need
a
to do
pillar
more.
of the. You said it a while back. You like I was hard on myself, and I kind of went above and beyond hard on myself to try to even out the karma. It's like,
Yeah.
hey, when it's all said and done, it's almost like the universe recognizes when it's your time.
Sure.
You know, to where you go, hey,
I agree.
you're a witness of it. I mean, if you do good, sometimes you can make more money, and you can, I don't know. There's things that cutting corners definitely has its perks temporarily, but to not only turn your life around and
Absolutely.
go, not only am I going to be productive, but I'm going to plant that seed for that generational wealth that people talk about.
You asked me a good question, what my definition of a community leader is, and the obvious is that they're recognizable, they're maybe in the media, they hold positions in the community, you see them, you know, they work for the city or the state or the government or leaders of this different organization. But what I see in a community leader is somebody that is invested in their community, loves their community, and gives back to their community. And that's the caveat. The important part to me is to give back as much as I can as I get older and have had some success. And I could not give back early on, financially or time. But and what's been more important to me is giving back time, not money. And I'm not knocking people that give money, because people that give money sometimes don't have time. I think a lot of it comes from my family. I grew up in a fairly religious family, and they were my grandmother in particular. I lived with her through high school, and they were a deacon. My grandfather was a kind of a head guy at church, and my grandmother was very well known. She was the Sunday school teacher for like 40 years at our church. So, and to watch them, you know, be selfless all their lives to their family and to others. Every Thanksgiving, we had a family that would come and sit with us. They may have been homeless, somebody we didn't know. I didn't know their circumstances. I didn't know they were in a bad way. It didn't matter. But that was what I grew up around, is a family that cared about others and welcomed everybody, you know.
That's awesome.
Whatever, and race wasn't part of that. You know, it wasn't even a thought. It was just I just grew up. I had really good people around me that had a good heart and gave back and gave to others and set an example that I'm still struggling to get to. You know, life's about helping people, and it took me a while to realize that. It didn't take me that long. I've always known, but the better I've got at focusing on helping others, my dreams have come true easier. My road has gotten smoother. Life has gotten better.
That's good.
Richer.
You deserve it. So I want to ask you about, you're in a group we've discussed before that's just some entrepreneurs. I don't know if it's locally. I don't know if it's globally. I really don't know anything about it other than You formulated some really positive, at least mentorships and friendships, and probably the mentorships goes in both directions. And I'd love to dive in on what it is, who it is, and
Yeah, that's a good question. So what you're talking about is a group that we call ourselves the Macon County Mastermind, Macon County Masterminds, and we're private. We're not really public right now.
gang.
Yeah, gang. It's a small group, and it's not a new concept. There's a lot of mastermind groups out there. This one's a little bit more refined because the group that I'm in had been involved in other groups and that were a little too big, and they just kind of refined the mastermind group that they wanted to create to be what they felt like was like-minded entrepreneurs at a state of their career that was similar, that were driven, had growth mindsets. We didn't want in this particular group, a startup. We wanted advanced businesses, and I was fortunate enough to be invited into this group of guys that are really just rock star entrepreneurs. I'm the little guy in the group. These other guys have well surpassed where I'm at. So I'm in the best position for these guys to help me to get to where they're at.
For sure.
But it's an amazing group that's been very rewarding to me. I've been involved in a lot of different groups, and you go to therapy part of it. As an entrepreneur, there's not that many people you can relate to. You can relate to other business owners. You can't talk about this to Fred that has 8 to 5, what you're going through.
This ain't work drama.
Yeah. So to be able, I can't take this kind of information. I can't take things to my staff. Certain things I can't take to them, even though I run my company with an open book. So we have a private forum that we have an NDA. We don't talk about. We don't share, what we talk about. So we have a space that we can be.
With this entrepreneur group.
Yes, honest, about whatever it is, or whatever opportunity might be coming up that we need to take to the group and say, hey, I need some advice. They're not going to take that and run with that idea and run with it. They're not going to steal that information. They're not going to
contribute.
The problem that I'm going through that I might not want out there.
They're just going to contribute in anywhere they can in a positive way.
And we're only 5 deep, and we meet weekly, and we have topics and structure, and we dissect different things that are important. And sometimes if one of us has something that is really important that needs to be discussed, it trumps and supersedes the schedule. We support and help each other. So as we have developed as a group, You
guys in different fields of business?
We are in different fields, which that's kind of important too. We're similar. We have similar fields or related fields, but we're all different. Having those different perspectives. We all have strengths and weaknesses that we can kind of key in on to help each other in certain areas. It's a good thing, and it goes back to having a team and having people. So you really hit on it that there's not that many forums, especially in this day and age with social media, where you have to be guarded all the time. This is a group where we can be 100% open and honest and have an open forum to discuss important topics that we can't discuss with others. You surround yourself with people that are trying to lift each other up and are actually helping you get to where you want to be, and you have to give that energy back as well.
I've made it my thing. I've tried to, it's only been for a couple weeks to go, okay, it's time to, there's no one trying to take my fucking job.
Well, as entrepreneurs, I think naturally
I need to communicate.
Control freaks.
Yeah.
Yes. And that's a benefit and also our weakness.
As is everything.
And to let go a little bit of that is important, and it's helped me a lot.
We're going to pop a video up right now that is going to show it's a house in Decatur, Illinois that looks like it's a damn resort front property. They did their thing, and this guy even, I believe, was in a snorkel mask or something.
There's a picture of that.
I know. This, we're showing it right now.
Sure. Well, yeah.
I have that.
I came out of retirement. And,
That's what I was
I
going
built
to
this
say is,
pool
are
for a
you
month.
sure? And I was going to say, no, that wasn't landscaping. That was aquascape.
Absolutely.
Again, though, you decided
Mhm.
we're not only going to be a company that installs pools, but we're going to be the one who installs the pools that you see on Instagram. If you want your shit to light up, we're going to do that. If you want your shit to spit rainbow waterfalls, we're going to do that. And you said the only way that we can do that is if I do it personally. So when I'm explaining to our installers how it should go,
Well, if I'm going
I've done it. I mean, that's huge, right?
No, it's
you
important. My thought was
you could just as easily have gave the guy you hired a book like you got that you probably had to call manufacturers on and bulb guys, but you could have easily delegated that. But I think there's a lot to say for going, that's cool. Even if I only do this shit once until they come out with the next high-tech shit, I'm going to do it. Because when you call and say, hey, this is going out, I can go, I've been there, done that. You're not I think that's admirable and fucking impressive, dude. That pool was legit.
Yeah, it is legit.
God
Man, I'm
damn.
pretty proud of it. I mean,
Damn right.
if you're going to teach it, train it, hire it, sell it, you better know how to do it.
You better fucking know.
So
it.
yeah, I took 30 days off, and hats off to my landscaping staff, and stepped up and took over the reins and did a wonderful job while I was gone.
Oh, you literally checked out.
I checked out. I took 30 days off, and I built that pool, and I was there at 7 in the morning and shut her down every night at 5 or 6. Getting somebody to let me build them the first pool, that was the hard part. So hats off, to my clients that allowed me and had the trust in me to come build them that pool. But I brought a lot of experience to it.
They're like,
I knew
not only did we love him before, but
yeah, we knocked it out of the park. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah,
I will pat myself on the back on that because
if not,
we did well, and that was a culmination of a year's worth of training and education and trade shows. I traveled all over the country. I got certified. I did.
Oh, so you didn't pull up a YouTube video when
No.
they said you can do it. You're like, no, I'm going to be a professional.
No. So I hold numerous certifications in landscaping, and now several. Like I'm a certified hot tub technician now, and I'm on the way to being a master pool builder. Like I have to get those accreditations in to give me the education that I need. I'm an entrepreneur, and if the deal's right and it makes sense for me, I'm in. And there's been other things
answer.
like I own
Passer fucking
this
drop.
what we've discussed is not my only business interests. I've dabbled in the cigar trolley. We made a small attempt at buying Sun and Fun at one point, and I've looked at that seriously a couple times. Another way to put it is, I feel like I'm a low life living the high life, and I still don't always feel like I belong.
Cheers
to those groups. You know
Cheers
what I mean?
to that. No, you're right.
Yeah.
No,
and but I've been treated.
You could own one of them,
awesome.
and you wouldn't feel like
Sure. That's just in my mind, though.
That's okay. That's a perfect place for it to be, actually.
No, I was not born in the country club scene, and it feels a little weird that I am. I never thought that I was going to be, a member of a country club, but it's not. It has nothing to do with prestige. It has to do with family, fun, being able to relax, do things. I don't have time to go bang out 18 holes. I don't. I'm working 65, 70 hours a week, but I can go to Southside and I can bang out 3 holes, get on the driving range, take a client out, go burn a couple cigars, have a drink, have some fun, have a good dinner, spend time with Jill's family that are wonderful. It's a vehicle for our social life and just enriches our life, so it's more about that. It has nothing to do with, I want to be a country club guy. I'm not a country club
No, I think what I was trying to kind of get at is there's no such thing. Like we think of country club guys as a certain stigma, and you're going, I
White
mean,
privilege assholes.
yeah, which I'm down with that. They skipped me. I didn't get it.
Minorities and underprivileged people in our community are important, and they affect all of us.
Yeah.
If you live in Forsyth, it don't matter. What's going on in the hood's going to affects everybody. So, giving back is what I feel like giving back is trying to give back to everybody, not just picking and choosing. And we're not doing enough to help our people right here at home. So that on a U.S. scale, that bothers me. The amount of money we've given to others, we could solve a lot of these and improve a lot of these issues. We need to have compassion and do our best to help others, but we also need law enforcement. We can't let people run wild. We can't have people running the streets that are fucked up out of their mind on whatever and harassing citizens. So it's a real delicate balance there that I don't have any of those answers. I just feel like everybody can do a little. If everybody,
there's a lot of money going in a lot of places to people who are supposed to create answers.
I feel like at home, being part of our community, that if everybody does a little bit, then we'll go a long way. I can't solve all those problems. I'll just do the best I can. Get out in the real world and you interact, and what media puts out there is not the real world. It's not what's happening out there. They're focusing on negative. They're creating division, and when you go out in the real world, that's not how people act. It's not how people interact. That's what I feel like.
No, and I think you're right. And I think the problem is they're trying to create a generation who doesn't face the real world. They only have what's in their feed. You know what I mean? Because
you can't ignore racism and these issues. The lack of respect for authority. I can't solve global issues. I don't. I do. I continue to volunteer. I know I've had to back off in the last year. I mentioned that a little bit, and it bothers me that I haven't been able to give back while I've taken on this new venture. And once things settle, I'll do more. I'm not wealthy. I don't have large sums of money I can dump on these organizations, but I do have value in time and experience and things that I can help with. So I pay attention to the world around me. My community is more important. What's going on the national stage really doesn't mean shit to me. I care about our education system here in Decatur. I care about the good people that are fighting a good fight on the council that take a beating, the school board that just takes a constant beating. Like, these are people that don't get paid to volunteer their time, and they just take a beating all the time, and that's the small world that I'm trying to live in, is trying to make my little bubble better. People that say the most seem to do the least. And that's who has the voice now. The people doing the least have the voice that are resonating with everybody, and it's bizarre. I like to think that will level out as time goes on. Social media is still pretty new.
It's very new.
And I think
our next election is going to be won on Joe Rogan, Theon Vaughn, and Charlemagne the God.
Yeah.
I mean,
what's been bizarre to me is how separated. Either you're far right or far left, and there's nothing in between.
Separation.
When I really feel like there's this middle zone that swings a little right and a little left that most of us are in. And now extremism is what rules.
But that's the biggest zone.
Yeah.
Is we're the only way we don't have a one world currency in 10 years is if we figure out how to become the most powerful nation that we are. Mm-hmm. But the only way that happens is to get in line. Like, how is that? We're the most dominant nation on the world. We can't even guide people.
We need to help ourselves a little bit more.
Damn.
While helping others.
Golly.
Your house has to be clean. This last year I needed to help myself and strengthen my business. And so I'm in a better position to help others later. Yeah. And our country should do that too.
So do you want to talk about your potential for wanting to dive into anything outside of being a business owner and maybe a political leader?
Sure, we can discuss that a little bit. It's no secret that I have some involvement in local politics and have volunteered and done some campaigning. And I think the biggest impact that we can have is locally, especially in a state like Illinois, where we're dominant as a state one way or the other. Our vote doesn't necessarily mean as much statewide as it does locally. I can see the impact that you can have locally. You can see it, feel it in real time.
Oh, because you've been a part of it.
Been part of it, and would like to be more of a part of it. I think that our local leadership lacks younger, youthful, business-minded people in it, but people like me are out building businesses and putting in work. We don't necessarily have the time to dedicate toward those causes.
And I know a couple of people. I think Woody, our local guy, Woody, and he had attempted it, and I think Rodney Walker succeeded at it.
Sure.
Is getting on the city council, but they're in a different boat than you, though. They make money. So there are certain regulations.
Yes, you have to be very careful.
Yeah, you can't have gaming, and you can't. And these are guys who have restaurants and gaming lounges and bars, and I feel like it's wrong to exclude them.
Sure.
Because
on a national level, we don't.
But exactly.
You could be
you can own a
Secretary
fucking
of State,
casino
and you can
do whatever you want.
And the policies.
Your
and
husband
you can bet on those policies and win big, and it's recorded and known. But on a local level,
it's
they want to hold
okay
it down.
still.
So there's so many misconceptions about what our
But I
city
think
council does.
Well, I just think it sucks that it was like potentially a chance for, at least in our era, it was like new breath into the old folk regime.
Young, smart,
and they both
well-liked.
kind of bailed out like, no, we can't.
Like, I hated seeing Rodney off of that crew.
But he said, I can't.
But he has to feed his family.
Yeah, he actually said, I'm an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
My thing
he has families depending on him to feed their families. That's a higher calling. But that's politics across the board. I don't know why they put a thumb on it locally.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's like a coward's way out of going, get this guy out of here.
If you get on social media, though, like everybody on city council's been paid off by Howard Buffett. It's just insanely ridiculous.
So do you want to get on city council? So maybe he will cut you a check? And if
he
does, will you come show me the check?
Well, what little I know about Howard is that, he puts his money, he requires people to match and be all in with him. He gets all this.
I would do it if it was my idea.
Yeah, sure. I mean, what he's done for this community is amazing. He catches a lot of heat he probably shouldn't catch.
You're wrong no matter what.
Yeah, naysayers.
Yeah.
And usually the people that are saying the most don't
have
the information.
I just talk shit about his rehab center.
Sure.
I mean, I don't know.
But you don't know.
I don't know
the facts. I don't know all of the facts.
I don't know
so
shit.
I'm not going to criticize somebody publicly.
Yeah.
Just because on the outside it looks like,
it's
one thing.
Yeah, it's a hard time to say you spent millions of dollars to build a rehabilitation center and millions of dollars to build a fire and police training academy, but you don't have the best interest in mind. However, there's the aftermath of all of it.
I'm have close friends on the council and have had close friends on the school board, and it's a thankless job. You don't make money.
No.
It's a volunteer position.
Yeah.
The council gets paid some nominal amount of money, like $4,000 a year, and they put in hundreds of hours, and they have to be there every Monday. It's a volunteer position, and the media destroys some of these people.
Are you going to do it?
I mean, eventually I will probably take some kind of, I like to operate in the background. Like who would, the social media has deterred good people from wanting to take these types of positions because they'll just destroy you publicly. Do I want to put my family and my kids and myself through public scrutiny constantly? Because I'm not a perfect person. I make mistakes regularly. I don't, I'm going to get criticized. My kids, when they're in school, to have to catch heat,
No.
So my kids are almost grown and gone.
Yeah.
And yes, I will continue to grow what I'm doing.
But your kids
in my
are,
community.
are homegrown.
Yeah,
Like
sure.
you've provided the opportunity. They can go anywhere in the world they want, and they are at Thursday night dinner if Dad calls for it because they're right here. That's beautiful. That's a beautiful thing. First of all,
That might be about the thing that I'm the proudest of is that my kids still like me. My kids all get along well.
or like you.
Yeah, they like me now, but we spend time together and we love each
Let me see
other.
your lighter, brother.
I didn't touch on my daughter enough, and
Oh yeah, let's do
I
it.
need to throw her out.
Oh, we
out there
do.
too because I didn't.
No, and I'm
But,
curious too.
Can we take a short pause?
Let's do it. Let's pause it right now.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. And there's no direct competition like one of us will win, but
I'm
to be able to
competitive
every
a fault.
time that I mean, it'll be a year or two pass, and I see you and know that you're doing well, and I'm doing okay.
Mm-hmm.
That it's just almost like that. Cheers to us, bro.
Keep going, man.
Yeah, keep go, whatever
Dude,
you're
I
doing.
love seeing you do well, man. It makes me feel so
Yeah.
good. I see you.
Likewise.
I want to be part of it. I want to.
Likewise. I think we can. That's what
Yeah,
we're supposed to. That's
sure.
what we're supposed to do.
Yeah, I'm proud of you, brother.
Thank you. Thank you. I do. I appreciate that. How old is Ryan now?
Yeah, give a little shout out to my daughter Ryan.
How
So
old is she?
Let's see. She was born in 2000. I got to do the math so I don't mess this up. So she'll be 24 in May 10th,
That's insane.
she's my only girl. She's a testament of getting the best of both parents and doing the most with it. So she's very proud of her as a woman, being strong, independent, stubborn.
She's got her own thing.
Hardworking, competitive.
She's got her own business.
She's got her own business. She's at Dolly Bliss. She has she went and got her a degree or certificates or all kinds of stuff in esthetician. She worked for a pastiche and cut her teeth there and learned the ropes. And she had a really good mentor and teacher there, a friend of mine. So want to respect that too. Good people there and helped her and showed her the path a little bit. When you talk about entrepreneurs helping each other,
Yeah.
they were very generous with her and helped her, and ultimately she went out on her own at an early age, and she's out there killing it, making a great reputation.
That's impressive.
And it's not about the success to me. It's just seeing her being passionate and loving what she's doing. And
You have to go all in. You have to bust your ass. You
Sure.
have to be about it. You have to be passionate. You have to market. You have to do everything. And she's done it. So
She's done it.
kudos to her, Ryan.
yeah, I
man.
do want to give her a big shout out. Very proud of her. And
Where is she now currently? If someone was
she's
to
at
go
Dolly Bliss. She has a
in
a
town,
booth of her own there here in town, downtown Decatur. It's really a great organization. I don't pretend to know all the things she does for the ladies, but I know that she kills eyelashes and eyebrows. And I talk about a
Yeah,
young
well-
power couple. Like Nick's great. He's got a master's degree out of Millikan, and really pleased with what they're doing. And they're so much smarter and wiser and ahead of where I was
How
at that age. It's
crazy
like,
is
man,
that?
They're sailing.
do you
very
acknowledge it, or do you sit back and go, "I'm not going to tell you guys"?
Probably
Because you don't need to know, but
I'm not the
God.
best at showering praise, but I think my daughter knows that I'm proud of her and I love her and I support her. And
Golly,
you
good
should
for
always tell them.
Ryan's one of the
more.
few people probably that I've met in my life as a young lady that you could almost guarantee was going to be successful.
Yeah. At the end of the day, my children are good people. They have a good heart and they care about people and they want to help people and I'm very proud of them for that because I'm most proud of that. They're good people
And
and have good hearts.
and to be something that you didn't directly every day teach, they just saw or they learned is
Environment.
There you go.
Environments that some of our disadvantaged youth have is insane. Like it'll break your heart. These kids, have all these strikes against them before, and they just want love and attention and direction and guidance. And I feel a little lucky too because, I have friends and family members and people. You could be the best person and the best parent with the best intentions and do everything right, and you could still end up with a child that's struggles with addiction or all these things. I've been so lucky to not have to have figured out, how to navigate, a child that, you know, doesn't aren't sure about their gender or or has mental health issues that they're debilitating. And so I've been pretty fortunate. I've had it easy. You put out good, and and it comes back tenfold. But I take doing the right thing very seriously. There's no shortcuts in life, is the way I feel about it. You have to put in the work, put in the time, put in the work, and the results will come around.
No freebies.
There's
Yeah.
no shortcut to success. Everybody that I have met that has been successful, whether it's a second generation business owner or third generation or first, they've ground, they put in hard work, they put in their due diligence, they put in the hours, they put in the work, they worked on themselves, they empowered people around them, they helped people. Like, you have to work at it. There's no free rides.
So will tailor-made landscaping go elsewhere?
We have.
Like, is that a thing?
I
Can
won't.
you go?
I won't turn that down. But we have yet to take advantage of everything that our own community has to offer to begin with. We turn away an absurd amount of work because we can't get to it, and it's always been that way.
Yeah.
We haven't advertised other than T-shirts, trailers, trucks.
I kind of knew that from
for
our
15
recent
years.
endeavor. You go,
Not a
bro.
dollar.
I don't really do that.
But to get to the next level, I probably will have to, maybe do some sales and marketing and funneling and things. Until I can maximize and tend to every lead that comes into my company locally, I'm not going to overlook that to go to another community. I have to take full advantage of what Decatur has to offer before I move on. I will move on and will expand outside of our area. I don't know when that's going to happen, but it won't happen until I've exhausted, and
You got to be tapped out.
I have to tap out what's going on here in Decatur.
Well, I think it's amazing that
Has a lot to
you,
offer.
even as a company, you don't knock your competition. It's almost like, no, there's other people who do well at what we do also, but you're not going to fire us.
Well, quite the opposite. I actually encourage quality competition that raises each other up.
Yeah.
I get along with everybody within our community, and we're all trying to do, I would never knock another man for trying to feed his family, to put it in a real simple way.
No, I like that.
Yeah, the competition is good. You shouldn't reject it. You should encourage it because it just makes us all better. If somebody's beating me out in an area and doing better,
Then that means
then
you
I need
need
to
to do
step
better.
up. I'm not.
And vice versa.
Vice versa. So good competition makes us all better. There's not a competitor I have in town that couldn't call me and wanted to borrow a piece of equipment or wanted a piece of advice that I wouldn't stop what I'm doing to help. I mean, there's a number of companies within my industry that we've relied on each other and helped each other for decades.
Oh, so
This
it's
is
not a beef.
New. No,
It's just
no.
whoever sent us here, you got it.
I mean, if you need to tear another man down to try to get ahead, that's going to come to light.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's unnecessary.
I'm not in that industry, but I can only imagine to where, it's like,
I mean, I might privately, criticize somebody, but I would never do that in front of a client. That's been a company-wide policy for all of my staff.
oh, to where we
Yeah,
don't bash anyone.
No,
We do
that's
our
a rule.
work.
That's a rule that we talk about regularly.
Oh, is that right?
Absolutely.
Oh, you're going, hey, we're not drumming up business. We're doing our work.
We do not, that you'll get wrote up if you're bashing another company in front of a client.
It's admirable.
Well, maybe. I mean, it's just the right thing to do. Goes.
Maybe we're going to schedule a time soon where we'll just call it a sit down, which will be an extra episode to where we just get a couple other people in here and just kind of brainstorm, chop it up. And I think my goal is more than anything is not to benefit, but to show other people how much they can benefit from other people. Whether you're in the same realm or not in the same, that has nothing to do with it. We're all people. We all have needs. We all have service providers. We all have go-tos. And I think there might be a lack in value all throughout, and just going, hey, maybe I actually know someone who knows about this shit, and let's talk about it on a real level. It doesn't always have to be a Google search. It can be real people talking about real things.
I mean, I think a lot of people want to hear from different community leaders, and they're interested in their story, and they have misconceptions of how they got there. So what you're doing is a really good thing, and keep it up. And
I appreciate
really
it.
happy to be here. Love you, brother.
Thank you, man. I appreciate you. Okay, so we're going to sign off here. Thank you for joining us tonight. Beyond Business. Be kind to each other. Be nice. It's like a boomerang, man. You throw it out, somehow it comes back.
Beyond business, baby, yeah, we got the groove. Shout out to the hustlers, the real street thugs. We all eat together, no need for the drugs. Yeah, you blessed with the gift, determined to thrive. Nick's breaking it down, keeping that fire alive. Let's go deep like the ocean, no bluff. Beyond business, baby, we can't get enough.